welcome to the first episode of our Tower Unite laser projector tutorial. This series will show you how to use the laser projector to its full potential by explaining the coding system behind it and how to use it effectively. Each video will build on top of the last, so I recommend you watch these in order to get the full experience. This series of videos is perfect for furries, weeaboos, any member of the Tower Unite community. Out of all the creative things you can use in Tower Unite, the laser projector has the most untapped potential. Very few people know how to use it effectively, and those who can are able to create some pretty cool things. They can be useful, or they can be pretty, or they could be a combination of the two. There's a pretty disappointing lack of laser creations in the condos I've seen, and I want to change that for the better. So let's begin. The first thing you're going to need to do, of course, is buy a laser projector. You can find them on Tower Express or at Central Circuit for 25,000 units. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Check out. Oh. Well, minigame time. I want to make these undead regular dead. This is Katana! This is Katana! This is Katana! Oh, minigun! We're going nuts! Going nuts! Oh my god, there's like 4 vampires to go! Oh, no! Man, I'm glad that's over. Alright, so now that we have a laser projector, let's go ahead and find a suitable spot. I will be right here. And let's go ahead and plunk it down. There we go. Now, when you're placing this down, you have to be very careful because this is actually the back of it. You need to make sure that it's facing the correct direction. And also, if you decide to place it on the floor or on some sort of horizontal surface, some flat surface, it will be upside down because it is meant to be on the ceiling. There are settings that are able to fix this though, so don't worry too much about that. So, to edit the settings of the laser projector, just hold Q, right click it, and click edit, the little Russian palette. So, these are the settings. These are the very basic settings of the laser projector. Right here we have the laser color. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and turn this on so you can see the effects live as I change the settings. So, you just turn it on by hitting E. So there we go. Now, I'm going to go ahead and change some of the settings. So this laser color setting, of course, just changes the color of the laser. You can change the saturation and the color and how bright it is just by using this. The darker the color, the less opaque it is, the less visible it is. So you can control it that way, or you can click this little arrow to edit the individual red, green, and blue settings of the laser if that's how you want to do things. I would advise not using this very much. I wouldn't want you to get it too attached to it because once we actually start coding, you can use the code to edit the hues and the colors and everything, the appearance of each laser. And this laser color setting is going to mess things up, so don't use it too much. Projector angle changes the up or down offset of where the laser projector actually projects the lasers to. So you can see as I change it, it goes up and down, and it's defaulted 0. The line, don't worry about this right now because the line, for some reason, always happens to be at the top or the bottom of the screen. But if I click this plus, which is a much better calibration shape, if you will, you'll see it's not quite like the line. So I'm just going to move it up a little bit. Field of view decides how spread out the lasers look, like how far out the lasers will be displayed. So as you can see, as I increase that, they get wider and wider. So I'm going to keep it right there. Time offset, when we get to actually coding time into the laser expression codes, this will become important because it will actually basically take the time, like you can input time into the code. So this will take the time and then add a positive value of time to it, thus offsetting it. And then this final setting right here, beam opacity, just decides how I'm going to increase the field of view a little bit. This setting right here just decides how visible the actual laser beams themselves are. So down here we have the shapes and the expressions. These are the two different display things that we can make the laser projector create. So These are the default shapes that are already preloaded into the laser projector. They come with every single laser projector, and they are hard-coded in. So we have things like the line, which is up there for some reason. You have the plus, you have a circle, square, heart, star, just various different shapes that have been hard-coded into the projector. Expressions is where we can actually put our custom-coded laser shows and whatnot. So we're going to be using this for most of the tutorial. Sequence allows us to put multiple different expressions or shapes together all in a big line and then have the projector go through them one by one. So for example, let's say I wanted a little show where plus and circle alternated between each other with an interval of 5 seconds. So we'll look at these little codes at the bottom. In this case, it's S1 and S2. So I will type in S1, comma, S2, and then click this box here. So now it will alternate between S1, the plus, and S2, the circle, every 5 seconds. So see, there's the circle, and then 5 seconds later, there's the plus. So that's pretty easy. I'm going to keep that down. I like it down because it's just the plain dots. Size X and size Y allow you to basically scale the shape on the X and Y axes. And rotation allows you to rotate it from 0, which is just 0 degrees rotation. I'm going to do this with the heart so you can see this a bit better. So it goes from 0, which is 0 degrees rotation, counterclockwise to 1, which is a full 360 degree rotation. And if I check this little box here, you'll see that it rotates on its own in the opposite direction, however. You cannot actually change the speed of the rotation, so that's why we're going to probably use rotation in the expression coding part instead of this, because this isn't very customizable, so it's not really that useful. So let's go ahead and create our first expression. So click on the expressions tab and click on the plus button. This will create this little window, and we can name it whatever we want. So I'm going to call it test expression, just for the sake of tutorial. Expression. Not quite. Expression. Okay, great. And that will create the expression right here. So to edit it, click on it, and click on the paintbrush and palette. So here we go. This is the primary coding environment, the laser expression editor. This is where we will do all the coding of all the laser creations we will create in this tutorial, and you will learn how to create in this tutorial. So up here, we can just change the name of the expression to whatever we want, whenever we want. Right here, we can change the index number. Remember when I was creating a sequence, I used the little coding numbers at the bottoms of the shapes? This is exactly the same thing right here, just for expressions instead of shapes. So S for shape and E for expression, of course. Right here is where we can choose the starting shape, basically the default shape of the lasers before we actually change any of the code. So we can do this either as a rectangular grid, which is just a square grid of any dimensions between 1 and 20 in both the X and Y directions. So this is good for if you want a set amount of lasers in your show. For example, if I wanted like 144 lasers exactly, I just do 12 by 12, which is exactly 144 lasers. So I have 144 lasers to do whatever I want with. So it starts out on 5 by 5 is the default. And then there's shapes, which are exactly the same as the shapes that are already preloaded into the projector. So I have like, here's the plus, here's the circle, here's the square, and so on. So I like to go with the grid because it gives me a bit more freedom. Though the shapes are good if you just want to like mess around a little bit and create some fun little designs. So yeah, those are the basic starting settings of the laser projector. So in the next episode, we will actually start to get down to the code part, this stuff, where we actually start to create our own custom laser shows. And I will be teaching you about variables, the various different types of variables and the various different variables that are used in the game to create the laser shows. So that is it for episode 1. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to watch the rest of these to get the full experience of the laser tutorial. Thank you very much and have a good day.